No boundaries. Narcissists have no or poor boundary recognition. Why is that? Well, part of it is because we have a rampant sense of entitlement. In order to enable us to assert control and draw fuel, two of the most important aspects of the prime aims, it is necessary for us to be able to do what we want, whenever we want, howsoever we choose, and without shackles, hindrance, or restraint. Therefore, we have a huge sense of entitlement to go to different places, to say what we want, to behave in how we deem appropriate, driven by instinctive unconscious narcissism or our conscious narcissism. That enables us to achieve the prime aims, and therefore this means that boundaries are not recognized. They're trampled over. Many people talk about how it's important to enforce boundaries with narcissists. They're wrong. Forget about it. We don't recognize them. Therefore, it's pointless trying to assert them. We trample on them, crash through them, penetrate them. The only boundary that you assert is by making yourself absent through total no-contact regime. If you seriously think that you can maintain a dynamic with a narcissist by asserting boundaries, well, all you're going to do is provide us with fuel. All you're going to do is suffer an adverse consequence, and because you're interacting with us, you'll increase your emotional thinking. Indeed, you might believe that you can enforce boundaries with us as a consequence of incorrect information that you've been provided. Let me tell you very clearly, forget about it. You can't maintain boundaries with our kind. If, having received this clear information from me, you remain of the view that you can, you're being affected by your emotional thinking. It's not allowing you to understand the logic of this. The logic is straightforward. If you try and assert a boundary with us, it means you have to interact with us. That means you will be giving us fuel. That's what we want. Also, where you try to assert a boundary with us, all that will happen is you will threaten our control, and therefore we will have to nullify that threat by asserting control over you. That means that not only will you be frustrated, upset, angry, and disappointed by the failure of your attempt to assert a boundary, possibly becoming annoyed with yourself. I wish I wasn't such a pushover. If only I wasn't such a doormat. You'll also suffer the adverse consequence of our response to you to assert control over you, possibly in a malign way. So you get 2 doses of unpleasantness. Thirdly, to enforce a boundary with us, again, you're interacting with us, and that will increase your emotional thinking. So, 1, you may believe that you can enforce boundaries with narcissists. Let me tell you very clearly, you can't. 2, you're now fixed with that knowledge, and if you continue to believe it, notwithstanding the reasons that I've just explained to you, then you're clearly being affected by your emotional thinking, and you're not listening clearly, and you're not applying the logic of what I'm telling you. Accordingly, these boundaries are never recognized. They're crashed through. They're irrelevant to us. And therefore, acting out of the need to assert control over you, our huge sense of entitlement, our lack of accountability towards you, and the absence of our emotional empathy, and in some instances with certain narcissists, our very haughty behaviors, this all means that boundaries are not recognized. It means we're important, you're not. Our need is an emergency. Your need is secondary. Our requirements are fundamental. Your wants are irrelevant. If we want something, it must be done, and you must drop everything else, cancel your plans, and ensure that we are provided for and catered to. Otherwise, well, all hell will break loose. Fail to do something that we want, and when we want, even if we haven't told you what it is, then you're challenging our control, and we will then have to assert control over you. We may impose a cold, furious, silent treatment or lambast you with our heated fury, but either way, this reinforces the fact that we have to assert control over you, underline our importance, and emphasize your absence of importance. Because we have no accountability to the relationship with you and no emotional empathy, we show no appreciation of your situation. no consideration of your position and scant regard for what you might need or have to contend with. It is predictably all about us. Any situation, any time, and any moment, we will trample all over what you're going to do in order to get what we want done. Whatever you may have organised, planned, or whatever you are doing is minutiae and utterly inconsequential to the massively important event, occurrence, or happening that we have decreed. Expect interruptions, abrasive treatment, and a complete lack of manners and consideration. This mindset, that what you are doing is not important, appears often and repeated, and is symptomatic of so many of our narcissistic traits. To help you understand how we don't recognise boundaries, how we act with a sense of entitlement, without any emotional empathy for you, I'm going to give you 20 instances where such behaviour manifests. 1. Talking over you. 2. Changing channel on the television when you are clearly watching something. 3. Switching off music that you are listening to. 4. Playing music loudly when you are relaxing. 5. Thrusting a newspaper under your nose when you are reading a book and saying, "Hey, look at this." 6. Talking to you when you are on the telephone. 7. Calling you at home and raising a trivial matter and demanding that you do something about it. 8. Asking you to pass something that is in reach when you are doing some other task. 9. Saying "la la la" when you are trying to explain something. 10. Making you late because we need you to straighten our tie several times first. 11. Calling you indoors for an outdoors task just to point out something on the television which is irrelevant. 12. Calling you and asking where something is when it is easy to find. 13. Calling you when you are socialising and demanding that you return home to deal with an emergency, such as that crucial aspect of the blinds being stuck, or the absolute disaster of running out of peanut butter. 14. Demanding you prepare our evening meal when you are trying to get ready to go out. 15. Feigning a greater illness when you are unwell. We have to one-up you. 16. Waking you up to tell you something pointless. 17. Ringing the landline from our mobile, withholding the number, and insisting you answer when you're trying to eat and then hanging up. 18. Demanding to be picked up or given a lift, irrespective of what you might be doing. 19. Using items that you need to complete a task. 20. Thrusting a tablet under your nose as you're trying to do something and telling you to "watch this," only to see a banal video of a man falling down some stairs. Of course, the extent of the triviality, ridiculous nature or childish nature of the behaviour will vary dependent upon the school of the narcissist, and invariably certain of those boundary transgressions are more prevalent with the lesser narcissist because of their complete lack of awareness. The slightly more sophisticated and veneer-utilising mid-ranger can still use fairly crass and childish interruptions, but there will be a greater degree of finesse. As for the greater and ultra, in some instances, even the most childish could be used if absolutely necessary, but invariably there's a greater degree of plausibility about the behaviour, even though it is much a boundary transgression of all the others that I have described. Recognise that the narcissist operates with no boundaries in terms of who we deal with, what we do, how we gain our fuel and control, and certainly with regard to you as a member of our fuel matrix, especially the intimate partner primary source. You are not recognised as a separate person. You're an extension of us. And that means that we can rely on you, call on you, extract from you, order you around, get you to do things, because we see you as a character extension as an extension of us, that you are there to do our bidding, that you are there to cater for our needs. And if you resist, then you're threatening our control, and we will continue to look to assert control over you directly to begin with, and then possibly moving to a different assertion of control. What it all amounts to, however, is in the pursuit of the prime aims, one of the things that we never recognise are the boundaries between you and us and other people. There are none. No fences, no barriers, no borders. We crash through them all. And the sooner that you recognise that and ensure that the only way to assert a boundary is to not to have to do so in the first place, the sooner you will make more progress with regard to escaping the narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.